Know your source code. In fact, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, source code is a text listing of commands to be compiled or assembled into an executable computer program. Did you know that you are programmed? In fact, you've been programmed ever since you were a child to behave, to think, to express, to move in certain ways. And if you are doing things that are out of alignment with or blocking what you want and what you are really manifesting and calling into your life and business, then it's important to know what is your source code so that we can get in there, reprogram it, and get you back on track. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Sensei Victoria Whitfield from strategicmeditation.com, where I help impact-driven entrepreneurs and leaders get and stay grounded and clear in mind, body, and business. I help people just like you increase their energy levels so that they can increase their income and impact, right? And this is your flow forecast. So we're not just looking at what's coming as a forecast, but also before you go into the day, we want to cast the mold of your mindset so that you can pour all of your effort into that positive mold and have the most positive outcome today. That's what this is all about. If that speaks to you, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share with another impact-driven entrepreneur leader like you who needs to set your mind right at the beginning of the day, right? And so in today's message, as always, I'm going to be turning to history, science, and spirit to support the message of the day. And I highly recommend bookmarking this page. Come back and listen to it as you get ready in the morning before your work day. So the message is knowing your source code. You have got to know what is the initial set of commands that you are dealing with that are running your neural network, right? In AI, and we've been talking about this for months on my channel, if you haven't been following, or on my list, if you haven't been reading the emails, we've been talking about innovations in AI and how that is affecting us as well as the landscape of business, right, in our industries as a community of conscious entrepreneurs. And if we want to be really conscious capitalists, conscious leaders, we've got to familiarize ourselves with some of the different dynamics as well as the ethics and philosophies behind those dynamics so that we remain empowered as we get out there to serve our communities. And one thing that I noticed recently, as I've actually now been networking in person in more AI business circles, so businesses adopting AI, is how there is this automatic assumption to connect innovation with disaster and loss of control. In short, AI and fear are just always, every conversation, every post I've actually ever done, every time I've ever mentioned it, there's something about the new and fear of the unknown that just comes together. And it's important to pay attention to that as a program, a mental program that we all have running in the background. When did we learn that? Was it when you were a baby and you learned that, oh, there's this new thing that I can see in the room, let me touch it, ouch, it's hot, right? So then discovering don't touch the stove, right? Don't touch a light bulb, you're going to feel pain. Ooh, the unexpected. We can start to associate pain with the unexpected, pain with the unknown. And so we start fearing innovations just as a standard operating procedure. In the neurological computer being your brain and central nervous system. So I've experienced personally, as well as in my education with computer programming as well as web development. So it's interesting seeing how people are responding to these innovations with an initial fear and foreboding rather than coming with a developer's mindset of like, oh, it's just code, rather than, oh, I don't know what that is. Like, I don't speak the language. And so if you speak a language that I don't speak, you are officially being offensive to me and I'm in danger. That type of a danger response we're having to innovation. And so let's talk about that. Are you programmed to expect the worst? When there is an opportunity to expect any outcome of any risk, any outcome of any opportunity, any outcome of any potential for you to take action, are you programmed to expect the worst? That we want to highlight and bring forward, that's just source code, that's just the code, keeping the developer's mindset, because if you have a developer's mindset, so fear's been coded into the machine, I can just log in and change that, right? Having this sense of, I'm not afraid of how I've been programmed to act because I know I can change my program. It's the same position that a software developer or a web developer has when they see a program putting out a certain result. They're like, oh, let's just go into the back end. Let's go into the back end and update that so that we can get more of what we're looking for, right? Be kind to yourself. You are more empowered than you think you are. You have more control than you think you do. You are safer than you think you are in this situation. I don't know who I'm speaking to or what you're facing, but it's important for you, if you are watching this right now, to know that you are safer than you think you are. You are better off, you're better equipped than you are programmed to assume that you are, because there's a fear program running in the background. And this day in particular, this week, whenever you're watching these messages, but this one in particular, you want to watch for the assumption of, okay, be scared or assume danger as a modus operandi, right? As a mode of operation. Your system is just assuming to be afraid first and then proceed. Let's change that. So bringing in the history, as always, to support us in this is Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. What does he have to say? So I'm going to be selecting quotes, as always, intuitively. The chapters I'm reading through are chosen intuitively as I'm guided by my internal compass. And so the chapter that we're going to be working over the next 5 weeks, actually, is specialized knowledge. Let's get into it. Specialized knowledge, personal experiences or observations, the fourth step towards riches. Assuming this is, the whole book assumes you want to think and grow rich. Do you? Type in the comments below. I'm assuming that you are watching this because you want to grow rich, not just Daddy Warbucks rich, or Scrooge McDuck rich or Elon Musk rich. But I'm talking about richness of life, of all resources. So that means rich in time, rich in health, rich in space, rich in love, rich in relationships, as well as rich in money. Yeah, I'm talking holistically. Are you open to be rich? I want to be rich. Type it in the comments. I'm assuming that, right? Money is a part of that. It's right up there with air. It's right up there. Money's not everything, but it's right up there with air. So assuming that you want to grow rich, let's keep reading. There are two kinds of knowledge. One is general, the other is specialized. General knowledge, no matter how great in quantity or variety it may be, is of but little use in the accumulation of money. The faculties of great universities possess in the aggregate practically every form of general knowledge known to civilization. Most of the professors have but little money. Interesting. They specialize on teaching knowledge, but they do not specialize on the organization or the use of knowledge. Knowledge will not attract money unless it is organized and intelligently directed through practical plans of action to the definite end of the accumulation of money. Pause. Knowledge is not power by itself. If you just know something, that doesn't make you powerful. If you have the ability to influence, that is power. So we want to take actions that give us the ability to increase our influence. One of the ways that we can do that in a measurable way, down to the number, is through the acquisition of money. Unpause. Lack of understanding of this fact has been the source of confusion to millions of people who falsely believe that knowledge is power. It is nothing of the sort. Knowledge is only potential power. It becomes power only when and if it is organized into definite plans of action and directed to a definite end. This missing link in all systems of education may be found in the failure of educational institutions to teach their students how to organize and use knowledge after they acquire it. Many people make the mistake of assuming that because Henry Ford had but little schooling, he was not a man of education. Those who make this mistake do not understand the real meaning of the word educate. The word is derived from the Latin word educo, meaning to educe, to draw out, to develop from within. An educated man is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated man is one who has so developed the faculties of his mind that he may acquire anything he wants or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. Okay. Connecting this back to knowing your source code. Who told you to expect the worst? Who educated you to expect the worst? When we come through our schooling, right, one of the ways that we're taught to be cautious or prudent or well prepared is to disaster plan or go to all of the worst case scenarios, right? When we're doing risk management mitigation, for those of you who've learned that as well. What happens though when we take that education and apply it to many areas so much that we're afraid to take a step forward? We're expecting the worst and holding ourselves back rather than expecting something other, just something other than the worst. What I appreciate about what Napoleon Hill says here for us also is that education falls into two categories. Knowledge falls into two categories. We have the general and the specialized. And we want to highlight that you have specialized knowledge. You are a specialist. You are an expert in whatever you have applied your education to. This is the point that he is making. So we want to take your specialized knowledge and focus on that, bring that out so that you have more confidence to take action rather than going with general knowledge such as what came out of Google, what came out of ChatGPT, what came out of Bard, what came out of Wikipedia, what came out of TikTok, or what came out of YouTube telling you about what's going on in the world. You know what you know. Own it, and you'll be able to make more confident decisions today in particular. Don't get lost in the noise of information Know your source code. Be your own developer. We're going to get into this over the next few weeks and unpack this even more. But let's turn to science. So we're trying to understand, how can we know our own source code? How do we work with our own knowledge and value our own knowledge? One of the ways that we can understand that is stepping outside of ourselves and looking at other researchers who are studying the acquisition and the creation of knowledge, such as in AI. So we have this wonderful article called "Study Shows That the Way the Brain Learns is Different from the Way That Artificial Intelligence Systems Learn." Let's understand the difference. Researchers from the MRC Brain Network Dynamics Unit at Oxford University's Department of Computer Science, this is from 2024 by the way, have set out a new principle to explain how the brain adjusts connections between neurons during learning. This new insight may guide further research on learning in brain networks and may inspire faster and more robust learning algorithms in artificial intelligence. Pause. What we're about to nerd out on, because science section is our nerd section of the day in these messages. So what we're about to nerd out on is how learning happens. If we can study how learning happens in an artificial paradigm, seeing that, comparing your brain versus an artificial brain, AI, right? If we can see how learning happens, we can really dive into working with our own source code. Unpause. The essence of learning is to pinpoint which components in the information processing pipeline are responsible for an error in output. Pause. What does that mean? That means, okay, learning is based off of error identification. Learning is based off of error identification. Your program is based off of looking for errors. All learning, right? We're trying to see, did I do it wrong? Okay, so the source code in the background is looking for errors. Drop a pin in that, that's extremely important. Unpause. In artificial intelligence, this is achieved by backpropagation, which means adjusting a model's parameters to reduce the error in output. Many researchers believe that the brain employs a similar learning principle. So backpropagation, it's like the feedback loop of error, of like, oh, that was wrong, don't do that. Oh, that was wrong, don't do that. Oh, that was wrong, don't do that, right? So as in a, oh, that was wrong, don't do that, do something else, but don't do that when you do something else. You get it? Unpause. However, the biological brain is superior to the current machine learning systems. For example, we can learn new information by just seeing it once, while artificial systems need to be trained hundreds of times with the same pieces of information to learn them. Furthermore, we can learn new information while maintaining the knowledge we already have, while learning new information in artificial neural networks often interferes with existing knowledge and degrades it rapidly. These observations motivated researchers to identify the fundamental principle employed by the brain during learning. They looked at some existing sets of mathematical equations describing changes in the behavior of neurons and in the synaptic connections between them. They analyzed and simulated these information processing modes and found they employ a fundamentally different learning principle from that used by artificial neural networks. In artificial neural networks, an external algorithm tries to modify synaptic connections in order to reduce error, whereas the researchers propose that the brain first settles the activity of neurons into an optimal balanced configuration before adjusting synaptic connections. Pause. AI, externally driven. Brain, internally driven. Unpause. The researchers posit that this is in fact an efficient feature of the way that human brains learn. This is because it reduces interference by preserving existing knowledge, which in turn speeds up learning. Writing in Nature Neuroscience, the researchers describe this new learning principle, which they have termed prospective configuration. So pause. We have prospective configuration versus back propagation. Prospective configuration means I'm going to look at it this way and approach it, all information within this frame. Whereas back propagation is, I'm not assuming anything. I'm looking for what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong. On pause, they demonstrated in computer simulations that models employing this prospective configuration can learn faster and more effectively than artificial neural networks in tasks that are typically faced by animals and humans in nature. Let's tie this back in to knowing your source code. Maybe we've been educated to think that you need to look for where you're gonna fail, right? In education, as the educational system, we were graded. Avoid the F, avoid the D, avoid the C, avoid the B, nothing but an A. Everything else is hot lava, right? Don't be dumb, don't be stupid, don't be dumb, don't be stupid, don't look bad, right? There's all of this back propagation of searching for the error, as AI is programmed to do. But researchers have found that your brain does something better than that. It comes with a prospective configuration, a prospect, ahead of time configuration frame. So ahead of time, it frames information to see it in a certain way, and that's how it learns. So be kind to yourself. If you have been coming with looking for errors rather than coming with a positive frame of looking for the win, looking for the opportunity, looking for the best, right? Looking for hope, for love, for increase and abundance. We want to have a positive perspective configuration today in particular. By the way, the links to every article is in the description of this video. So that's what science has to offer to knowing our source code. Your brain is based off of a superior model, which has the ability to set positive frames. Set your mindset right, first thing, and you'll just go faster, naturally. That's how the human mind was built. Spirit, we're going to turn to the tarot of the week, which is the Hermit. The Hermit, number 9, which in numerology, number 9 has to do with the end of an era, closing a chapter, right? Things coming to an end. This card signals that you'd benefit from spending time alone, listening to your inner voice. Meditation is essential, as the path to enlightenment is an inner journey, right? Not externally driven, it's an inner journey. Be silent and experience the joy that comes from seeking the truth of your own heart. Learn to feel comfortable in your own company. After all, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. So tying this back to knowing your source code, it's time for you to go within and look at what is your mindset. How are you approaching the day? How are you assuming you are going to do? How are you assuming this is going to go? What is your prospective configuration? Don't allow the program of looking for the worst, expecting the worst, or looking for the drama, looking for the lack, looking for what you don't have. Don't allow that program to override your brilliant human system. You are the creator of your life. You are a spiritual developer. We'll talk about that in a later message. You are your own spiritual developer, your own programmer. So look for the good. Choose to go within, though, and take a look at how you're approaching the day in particular. What's going to support you in doing that is a meditation, right? strategicmeditation.com. This is how we roll. On Skool, for those of you who haven't joined yet, the link is in the description to join, or in this email, however you're watching this. But on Skool, you're going to search in the search bar for Healing Names Remembering Meditation. Healing Names Remembering. Type that in the search bar. So it's a 17-minute meditations in your vault of visualizations under the energy clearing meditations. And what you're going to do with today's meditation of the day is you're going to remember parts of you that have those positive prospective configurations, all in a name. There are many names within you, right? There are many names within you. Divine names, divine versions of yourself that know to be confident, that know that they are an expert, that know that they are worthy or a child of God, that know that everything is already good and already done. There are names that when you remember those names, it's going to activate that confidence within you so that you can really attack the day and be graceful and abundant as you serve your people. So now, as you're coming to the end of this video, you may be thinking, all right, so I'm not on school yet. I don't really know how to get on it, but I have some questions, right? If you want to know what's the right next step, I suggest you set up a call. If you aren't on my email list, go ahead and click the link to schedule a call and chat with me one-on-one. I'm here to support you on staying on track, right? Getting your energy grounded and clear so that you can serve the people that you're called to. And if you're on my email list, go ahead and grab your free meditation class pass. You'll see the ticket image in your email. You should be able to click on that and hop in our next strategic meditation live on Zoom. Would love to see that. Otherwise, I'll speak to you on our call. Mwah. See you in the next one. You do not have to lose your glow as you grow in life and business. Bye for now.